What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. I want to give another shout out to Soft Sports for having me on again with the round table this past Sunday. We had a good conversation. We lasted for over 2 hours, but it was still some good conversation. It had me think about some of the stuff that we talked about. Made me sit back and think about some other stuff a little bit more. I want to elaborate on it just in case you missed it, or you just want me to elaborate on it even more. This is what I'm doing. One of the things we talked about, and the first thing I want to talk about, doesn't have anything to do with the Texans directly. It's not the Texans news, but it affects the Texans somewhat, and that's the contract extension that Blake Bortles got. I got a 3-year contract extension for I think $53 million. And the first thing when I first seen this contract extension, I smiled. I smiled and I was like, yes, that's good. It's not out of the water money, and if something would happen, they could definitely get out of the contract like we was able to get out of the 17 contract. But what it does do, it guarantees that Blake Bortles is their starting quarterback for the foreseeable future, which means they're not going after Cousins, which would have hurt them salary cap wise because they would have to give Cousins a big contract. But like I said in previous videos, teams that are defensive dominant with mediocre to bad quarterback play that win championships or get the championships, they're one and done. They don't go through a multiple championships like the 85 Bears. 85, they went to Super Bowl 1. You didn't see them anymore since. 2000 Ravens, same thing. 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, same thing. Like the only one would be Seattle, but Seattle had Russell Wilson, so Russell Wilson wasn't a mediocre quarterback. So the Denver Broncos just a couple years ago, like and eventually people start cherry picking off those defenses because players start getting contracts come up. I even think about that Ramsey and Miles Jack. Their contract gonna be up the same year. You're gonna have to make a decision on both of them. You're not gonna be able to retain both of them. So your window is short. So since your window is short, you should go all in within the next 2 years. So I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins by any means, but I'd rather have like if I'm a fan, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins than Blake Bortles. So what this does do makes them that they're not going to sign, they're not going to go after Cousins or anything like that. And two, they could go after a quarterback in the draft, but unless somebody falls to them at the first round, they're not going to move up because they're not going to give away assets to move up because they're going to be drafted in the low 20s. So they're not going to be able to move up. And really, because you gave him this contract, you want to give him all the tools to succeed so you can try to win one now. So I still don't think they'll draft a quarterback with the first pick in the draft. Maybe they might pull a Dallas and draft somebody in the 3rd and 4th round. Hopefully it becomes a Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson type situation for them. But to me, I said this in the round table, they got Matt Schaub. And what I mean by that is that they got fooled because he has the passing numbers, because he has high fantasy numbers, but you could tell he wasn't a good quarterback. You can't sit there and believe that Blake Bortles can lead you to a championship. Matt Schaub might have led the league in passing in 2009. He might have been top 5 passing in 2010. And in 2011, before he got hurt, the Texans were 7-3 and was tied for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Those are reasons why he got that contract extension. But no fan really believed that Matt Schaub was going to lead them to, no one really believed, he's the guy that's going to lead us to the Super Bowl. No one truly believed that. You just thought with everything around him working well with the defense that we put together in 2011, Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, all these pieces around him, he can get us there. But just on him, nobody has that belief. I think people believe that about Deshaun Watson now, that just on him, he can get us there. But no one believed that on Matt Schaub. And no one can sit there and tell me. You can't pay me to believe that Blake Bortles is going to lead you there. So, as a Texan fan, I'm glad they did that handicaps. And then by the time they figure it out, people are going to start cherry picking out their defense. Guys' contracts will be coming up and they're going to be moving. I mean, look at us. We a prime example. In 2011, we had a good defense. You had a up and coming J.J. Watt. You had D'Amico Ryans. You had another rookie in Brooks Reed. You had Con Barwin with 11 sacks. Mario, even though he got hurt, only played 5 games, he had 5.5 sacks in his first 5 games. It's before he got hurt. Jonathan Joseph, a Pro Bowler, All Pro. You had solid safety. You had those defensive pieces. You had Andre Johnson. You had Arian Foster in the top 3 in rushing in the league. He had a good backup in Ben Tate. So in 2011, we was like, yeah. We made it all the way to the divisional round with a 3rd-string rookie quarterback that threw 4 picks, and you still only lost the game by 7. So we like, good. We're going to come back strong. And what happens 2 years later? In that offseason, you trade away D'Amico Ryans to get salary cap space. Mario walks to go get a check, to go get that $100 million. Then the next year, Cushing gets hurt, tears his ACL. Brooks Reed gets traded away. Connor Barwin leaves via free agency because things start happening. And then you had explosive J.J. Watt becoming 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and 20 plus sacks multiple times and things leading the league in sacks and all this other type of stuff. But your defense started falling apart via people leaving via free agency, injuries. When you have it focused on your defense and your quarterback is mediocre, people start cherry picking off your defense. That's why Atlanta went. And that's why people start cherry picking off our defense. Plus the injuries. See, when you have a quarterback, when you have an elite quarterback, people on the offensive side, like receivers, they might want to go check the check, but they like their numbers too, so they might stay. They might stay. Now everybody's different. There are some people who want to get rings and they don't really care about chasing checks because there's 3 things that motivate people to play sports: stats, money, and rings. Everybody wants all 3, but it depends which one you want more. And some people go after, they don't care about winning. They just want to chase their check. They don't care about football. Some people I don't give a damn about the check. As long as I'm getting paid comfortably, I want to win. And some people just I just want my numbers. I want my stats. I want my statistics. I want to be all time in all these numbers because I want to go home and brag how many yards I can rush for, how many catches I can got, how many sacks I got, how many picks I got. Everybody's different. So that's off the Blake Bortles news. The second thing that kind of affects the Texans during the offseason is that Marcus Peters got traded to the Rams. What this tells me is that Tremaine Johnson, one of the guys I've been advocating for, is definitely not going to be a Ram. And I didn't think about this and shout out to Duck Scout because he brought this up in the roundtable. What it made him think of is that the Rams are not sold on him. And I didn't even think about it like that. And it kind of has a Kirk Cousins, Washington Redskins vibe. Redskins franchise tag Cousins 2 years, but they not sold on him, and they go out and trade for Alex Smith. The Rams franchise tag Tremaine Johnson for 2 years, not sold on him, but yet they go trade for Marcus Peters. Now the difference is Marcus Peters is a better corner than Alex Smith is a better quarterback. Because let's be real, and plus Alex Smith is in his 30s, and then they have to give him $90 million. Marcus Peters still under his rookie contract. He's only a 3-year player, and his turnovers is crazy. So that right there is the talent level is different. But I understand what Doug Scout was saying, and it sit there and made me think. Maybe Tremaine Johnson is vastly or slightly overrated. Now, I still want Tremaine Johnson on this team. I still would rather have Tremaine Johnson than Malcolm Butler because Tremaine Johnson is second in the NFL in man coverage. And in 2016, the last time Romeo Crennel was our defensive coordinator, which he is now that variable's gone, we ran the most man coverage in the NFL. So we need someone to run man coverage. We need somebody to be good at man coverage. That's the reason why I want to get Tremaine Johnson, because I think he's the better man coverage. He's second in the NFL. I think he only allowed 43 yards or 42 yards, something in that. It was less than 50, and off of man-to-man coverage. I need that. I need that. And now that the Bears have released and cut Quentin Demps, people want to bring Quentin Demps back. I'm all for bringing Quentin Demps back. We can bring Quentin Demps back. But then if you do that, you have to cut Kareem. Because I don't want Kareem out there covering anybody. I want Kareem to be a safety. I don't want Kareem as a corner. I want Kareem as a safety. So, and I'm cool with cutting Kareem. I like Kareem as a person. If you got to cut him, you got to cut him. I want to make this defense better. I was like, get 2 corners because I don't want Kevin Johnson nowhere near a number 1 and number 2 corner. So, get Tremaine Johnson or Malcolm Butler, whichever one is your taste, one of them. I like EJ Gaines. If we can get 2 solid corners, if we can get Tremaine Johnson, get EJ Gaines, have Tremaine on 1, EJ on 2, have Kevin Johnson run the concession stand, because I don't want him nowhere near a number 1 or a number 2 receiver. Like, put him in the slot so you can minimize and cover up his deficiencies. With the pass rush with Clowney and White and Merciless and Covington and Zach Cunningham and Dylan Cole, and then you put these 2 corners on the side, you minimize all his weaknesses. His assignments are smaller. He doesn't have to focus on a lot. He only has to focus on the slot. He doesn't have to think about all the other things about covering the number 1 receiver. And like I said about Malcolm Butler, corner and receiver are the 2 positions most dependent on confidence. His confidence was shook last year. Maybe this way you can build some confidence, and maybe he start making better plays, and maybe he can be more confident and look like a competent corner. But I don't ever see him being a corner who can challenge anybody to be a legitimate number 1, number 2. Maybe he could be a number 2 in the pinch when somebody hurt, or they got take a little couple plays off, or whatever the case may be. But as far as a full-fledged number 1, number 2 corner, no, I don't see it with him at all. That ship has sailed and went way over there. I don't see it with him. But if we can minimize what he has to do and mask and cover up his deficiencies with his front 7 and get him 2 help on the 2 opposite sides, and the 1 and the 2, and have him covering the slot, it could be solid. I think he can at least play solid. So, and then also if you get safety help in the back. And Quentin Demps, the last time Quentin Demps was here, he had, I know, in the month of December, he had a pick in every game. He was offensive player of the month for the month of December. I think he had 5 straight games with a pick. Because I think he even had one in the last game in the month of November. But it's like 5 straight games with a pick. Like, I understand why they let him go, especially since they didn't re-sign nobody or sign anybody. Yeah, you let AJ go. You let Josh Simon go. You let Quentin Demps go. Like, they just letting people go left and right. And then they didn't even sign nobody. It didn't make any sense. It really didn't. But I would like Quentin Demps to come back. But like I said, if you give Quentin Demps to come back, you're going to have to cut Kareem. Because Kareem don't need to be a corner. Kareem only needs to be on this team if he's a safety. That's it. If he has to play corner, something is terribly, terribly wrong. Because I don't want Kareem, Jonathan Joseph, or Kevin Johnson out there covering 1, 2, 3. No. Let Kevin Johnson, because he's under a rookie contract, go ahead and let him cover the slot. And if you can bring Jonathan Joseph back for a cheap price, as a mentor type, as a 3rd option corner, but he don't need to be on the field as a 1 or 2. No. You need to get new number 1s and number 2s. Like I said, Tremaine Johnson and EJ Gaines is what I'm looking for right now. That's what I want right now, is Tremaine Johnson and EJ Gaines. Give me those. People mentioned Kyle Fuller. I haven't seen a lot. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen a lot of them. And I haven't really seen a lot of EJ Gaines until recently. I started doing some research on him. So I do need to do some more research on Kyle Fuller. I don't want to give an assessment on somebody I haven't watched. That's the reason why I didn't talk about EJ Gaines that much in previous videos, because I didn't do no research on him, and I've been doing it. And I like his game, and also I do research, see how people talk about him, what other people are feeling about him, and the way some people are feeling about getting EJ as their number 1 corner. I don't see him as a number 1, but you get him, pair him like with Tremaine Johnson or Malcolm Butler, whichever one we get. Like, I'm cool with either one. I prefer Tremaine Johnson because, like I say, the run and the man-to-man cover. But if you can get Malcolm Butler, I'm cool with that too. Pair him up with EJ. I think those would be 2 solid. I'm not saying it's the #1 cornerback tandem in the league, but I think it's solid enough. It's enough, especially with this pass rush. And I know JJ not come back as 3-time defensive player of the year, JJ, but I think he'd be good enough, especially with Covington, because I really like Covington and Merciless and Zach Cunningham and Dylan Cole and Rita and Watkins and of course Clowney. You add all these people, you get all these. Except for Merciless and Clowney, the rest of the guys don't blow you away by themselves. But when you get them all together as a collective unit, I think they can do some damage as a front seven, and that will help the back end. I think they could do some damage if everybody's healthy and do stuff together. If it's all a collective effort, them together, I think, will be a good defensive tandem. That will help the back end. I think that'd be a good front seven. So that's really my take on some of the stuff that we talked about. The the Marcus Peters trade and the Blake Bortles getting that not huge contract, but getting the contract. And I think that Jacksonville will eventually pay for it, to be honest with you. And I think the Texans, I think that they, if I was them, I would actually try to go after I can't think of his name, Baker Mayfield. For some reason, Baker Mayfield just screams Jacksonville Jaguars to me. For some reason, he just screams like he will fit in. I think it's his off the field issue, not off the field issues, but his personality. I think just matches well with Ramsey, and I just think that I don't give a F attitude. I think that just matches with Jacksonville. It'll give Jacksonville way more attitude. But if he falls, they may go after him, but Bortles is going to be the guy at least for the next year and a half to 2 years. They have to. You got to continue to let him being the guy. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below if you haven't. Click that bell to get more videos. I holla.